Is there seeing right now?
Yes.
Is it self?
Yes.
Seeing arises and falls away at moment of hearing. They cannot be seeing and hearing together. At this very moment of seeing, it cannot just arise by itself, but even just a moment of seeing is conditioned. For example, without the eye base, without the visible object, without that which can experience or see it, visible object or whatever appear now cannot appear at all, right? And I think that that's the meaning of no self who can do anything for seeing to arise, because without the element which can experience, the world will not appear at all. But since there is another element which is different from that which cannot experience anything at all, so that element arises when it's conditioned to experience a reality which can be object of its experiencing. For example now, what is seen in the absolute reality? What is seen now at this moment? Can hardness be seen? Can softness be seen? No. Only that which can impinge on the eye base, which can condition moment of seeing to arise, to see it, and then they are gone instantly. So very rapidly, what is left is only the succession of the arising and falling away, so very rapidly that it conditions some idea about sign or marks of that which appear now as eyebrow or table and thing. Otherwise, there's no such idea without any absolute reality at all. So I think that the absolute reality, we don't have to name it or call it anything, but it's there for anyone who consider it to understand it as it is. As seeing is just a moment which visible object appears, and hearing is another moment which sound can appear. Without hearing, there is no sound appearing at all, and these are not self. They are just conditioned realities differently from time to time. So life consists of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking, only these 6 areas. So whatever arises is conditioned. That's why it cannot be controlled, and no one is there to control or to make it up at all. And that is meant by reality or Dhamma, which in we can say that are 2 categories. One is that which arises, but it cannot experience anything at all. And the other one, whenever it arises, it has to experience, because its characteristic is experiencing whenever it arises. That's why there is seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. They are all conditioned reality, arising and falling away. So how can there be any self or anyone in it at any moment?
I completely agree. Clearly, I think the only thing that I've heard is, and I see often, is that there's almost an aversion to accept the fact.
Excuse me, is aversion a reality?
This is where I'm going. This is where I'm
Yeah,
going. That yes, when there's a sense awareness,
yeah,
that along with that sense of awareness comes a sense of self, comes a sense of, and you know, we agree that it's illusory and that I would say empty, but there is an awareness that I see, and that sense of I see or I hear or I taste or I feel is the self, but not a sort of true, ultimately existing self. So the self does exist, but not in the way it appears. It appears to be me here, permanently experiencing these things.
Is thinking real?
in the moment of thought, yes.
Thinking thinks. If thinking doesn't think about self, can there be such idea of self?
But I think when you do have a thought, when you do think,
can anyone control thinking?
There's a sense of self.
If there's no experiencing a physical object and so on, can there be thinking about this or that as I or things or self?
Do the two not go hand in hand, experience and the sense of self?
So there is not just seeing, there is thinking after seeing. And there's not just hearing, because there is thinking after hearing too. So thinking follows any experience through any doorway, and it can think differently. Some might think that there is no self, and some might think that there is self. Some might think that seeing is permanent, but some knows from everything which happens in a day that nothing is permanent at all. Seeing just arises and ceases, that's all. It cannot think. But after seeing, the memory of what is seen conditions the idea of something or someone all the time as permanent one. But if we come to understand each reality as it is, which one can be taken for self, because thinking also arises and falls away. While one is fast asleep, does one know who one is? What name, how many friends, where one is? No idea at all. Because this is the function of realities from the first moment of life, which keeps on by conditions. In the day, there is seeing, and then there is hearing and everything. But while one is fast asleep, where all of those things gone, never come back at all. So where is the self, the permanent one? Because everything is so short, it's conditioned, and it falls away unknowingly, even right now, while we're talking about seeing things gone, because it's hearing and thinking. So this will condition some understanding about life is not permanent, and what is life if it's only seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking. So they are not permanent, the whole life. And nobody can control or nobody can make anything up. That's why it's Dhamma. Everything is Dhamma. It does not belong to anyone, and it is no one at all. That can be proven and develop more and more understanding about whatever appears right now. Because we think that we see people and things, but in reality, it's only that which can see only. And we call it visible object. Even we don't call it anything at all. It is seen, right? What is seen is short or far, is near or far. That which is seen now, is it near or far? No idea, because it's only that which is seen. But if there is a question about whether it's far or near, it's thinking, not seeing. So in a day, there's always thinking and thinking and thinking. Like, is thinking light or dark? Thinking itself. Sound is light or dark. Everything is in darkness. Only visible object is not dark. At moment of hearing, that which experiencing in darkness and sound appear also in darkness. But it seems like there is light all there, but actually it's not. So if one understands just one characteristic of a reality at a time, one will begin to see what is life and what we take for life. Without all these realities, there is no life at all.
And I think that when I mentioned a long time ago, I came across Tibetan Buddhism, and I understood the particular doctrine of emptiness and the illusory nature of reality.
Yeah.
Like that was very, very big for me. It was very, very lots of sort of things pulled away, and I could see a lot more clearly. But it still left a sense of, I have this intellectual understanding that gets deeper and deeper and deeper the more I study, but still a sense of almost an accumulation of knowledge, but going nowhere with it.
Knowledge of what?
Knowledge of the illusory nature of my perception of reality, the illusory nature of
concept.
Yeah, and I agree. It's another concept, but it's a concept that took me closer to an understanding of reality.
Without,
Yeah, absolutely. So the theoretical knowledge that in the midst of a discussion is very, very revealing and liberating. It does give you a sense of wow, I understand more now. But like the old Zen saying, it still goes dark, and I still got to go to the shop for a loaf of bread and a pint of milk, and nothing changes. So there's an expectation of an alleviation of suffering the more we understand reality, and that doesn't happen. Well, for me anyway. The more I understand, sometimes, in fact, to the point where I'd say the more I understand, the more my anxieties rise, because there's a dichotomy between an understanding and an experience.
And is understanding you or yours?
The understanding is, it's my conventional self.
Actually, it's just a moment from hearing, considering or reading about realities right now, no matter you read the Tibetan Buddhism or anything. If there is no understanding of whatever appears now, it's useless. Just think about that which does not appear, or think that one knows a lot about that which does not appear. But what about now, for example, seeing without the eye base, that which can, that which the visible object can contact or impinge on. No way to know that there is visible object at all.
But that's my point, that I can't do that. I understand that. I can see that, and I can talk about it, but it's not happening.
Without conditions, nothing can arise. We come closer to what appears now, needs conditions for its arising. So no one can do anything at will to have this and that, because now seeing sees, it cannot hear, it cannot think, so the other moment after it is different. That's why life changes from moment to moment very rapidly without understanding any of them. I think that when one learns the teachings about reality, it's better to learn just one word at a time in order to really understand the subtleness of it. For example, like anatta, no self. Is it real? Because there is always the idea of I see, I hear, I think. But actually, what is the seeing? It's not I. It's only a moment which is conditioned by its proper condition, appropriate conditions. And hearing, see, just arises and falls away instantly. So no I at all in a day, in one's life. Learning to understand that it's only very temporary life, and how short or how long we don't know at all. But without understanding whatever appears in one's life, one lives with ignorance from birth to death, and one speak or talk about that which one doesn't know at all. No matter what word we use, we don't know it. Like world, what is a world? See, we just talk about the word. But in reality, what is it? If nothing arises at all, is there a world? No, impossible. But whenever just a reality, just one, arises like sound, that is a world. Because when there are all these realities, we take them all for a world, but actually it's only just one reality arising and falling away all the time. So one can understand what is meant by what we used to speak or talk about better, like life or world or different realities, kusala or akusala. It can be understood little by little. Theoretical knowledge can condition the direct understanding of whatever appears now. Otherwise, without the intellectual understanding, how can there be the understanding of what is seen in reality? Because people say, I see a bottle of water, something like that. But actually, that cannot be seen, but that can be object of thinking by memory. Only then.
It's just occurred to me that if we understand these things intellectually, and
directly too.
Yeah. Is that knowledge not also like so if I have an intellectual, maybe a really deep intellectual understanding of anatta, then when I'm thirsty, why would I drink?
For example, the word anatta, what is it? Is this moment anatta, and what is there in this moment? Otherwise we just talk about anatta with the idea that nothing cannot be taken for self or for permanent thing at all. But there must be whatever now appears, no matter we call it anatta or not, it's there. For example, seeing, we don't have to say seeing, but it sees. Sound, we don't have to call it sound, but it's there, it's heard, and it passes away, falls away instantly, from nothing to be something, and then nothing again, all the time.